Hey everyone. So in this probably final video for the game jam, but maybe I'll continue this game. I will talk about the kind of touch-up sort of things I did prior to the presentation. So the one of the other ways of submitting got extended until like 2:30 for right before the presentations. So I took that opportunity to tidy up a couple things. So my sprint 4 was more about implementing some of the features that I didn't complete or fixing a couple things that I noticed after submitting on Sunday. A lot of things that I wound up having to kind of rework a bit were things related to networking because as I was getting closer to Sunday's submission, I was focusing more on just testing single player, even though single player is just the host. And then I realized that I made some decisions that didn't translate well because it was just working on the client side, not necessarily the server side, which sometimes could be a bit of a juggle when you're dealing with Unity multiplayer, especially if you're not keeping in mind the entire time. Since it is flexible, it can bring you to some difficult to mitigate sections. So things are a little buggy, but it actually does work. Um, During the demo and after the demo, a couple people did play on a local network, and it was usable. Some bugs here and there, but not super consistent for the most part. So I was surprised considering I didn't really test the multiplayer side. By the way, let's take a quick look at what I have here. So my sprint 4, and I also think I should complete that for sprint 2. I mean, that was done in sprint 3, which is here. Let's see. So I still didn't do the red mask. I have it spawning, but it's completely useless right now. Um, the I realize I have two things as sort of double, but I had some issues where the placement with the gray mask, the placing of the defense items like the barrier and the turret, um, they're being greedily placed. So it wasn't checking to see if you had a pickup item below the raycast or if you had the collection bin below the raycast. It was still trying to spawn the defense item as priority, so I had to fix that. One of the features I did is picking up a mask of the same type would refresh the energy, but also what I kept in here purposely is you can waste masks like that. So if you're already at maximum energy, it'll let you use a mask even though you're already at maximum energy. Um, there's some bugs. I mean, still some bugs, but there's some bugs with the defense UI where certain buttons weren't enabling or disabling at appropriate times. One of the quality of life things I did is I had the ability to have fruit gathered rather than just a single pickup. So fruit would spawn a single fruit item that had a quantity, and you can only carry one of those at a time. What I did is I have the player able to hold bundles of those fruit items now. Um, I forget exactly what the stack is off the top of my head, but in theory, let's say it's 10. So you could pick up 10 pieces and have it in one inventory slot. So you didn't have to immediately go drop it off. You can accumulate some before that. So the risk would be that if the enemies are nearby, you would die and lose it all. But the benefit behind that is you would be able to accumulate things before you had to waste time traveling back to the drop-off location. Um, I decided to add a cancel button during the placement phase of a defense item. That way, in case you um, place the defense item by accident, you can undo it without wasting energy. But secondly, placing a defense item is free. Confirming a defense item is when the cost against the energy is used. So like a barrier is like, for example, 5% energy, a turret is like 15% energy. So you may be able to start placing a turret. It's not active yet, but you may place it when you don't have enough energy to actually lock it in. Now, I may need to rework that mechanic if I were to continue, or if I'm to continue working on this, but that's just the general concept at the moment. Um, Items can be picked up, placed from far distances. So for the item placement and pickup, I was just purely using a raycast, and the raycast is coming from the camera. So my camera is about like 30 units high, and I had my raycast going up to 50 units. Even 30 would still be problematic, because the raycast is going from the camera's perspective, not necessarily what the player could reach. So one of the things I did is I added a check to make sure that the point that was being casted was within a certain range of the player. And to facilitate the visual, I have lines being rendered around the player showing their different radiuses, or radii, whatever, for different functionality. So pick up, you have a gray circle showing, I guess, light gray or white or something, showing your pickup radius. When you're in the with the defense mask, the gray mask, you'll see the limited area that you're able to place or interact with the different defense items. When you're using the green mask for the farming, you can see the limited area that you have to access the different crops. Looks right now, but it was just a visual for the player. And on a side note, I did all that and totally forgot about the player's health bar, so that's still a mystery to the players. Um, at one point, I had the ability to left click to unequip the mask in the UI in the toolbar, and then I made an edit that broke it, so I restored that. I adjusted the range checks. So when I was originally designing the crops and the defense items, I had it where each defense item was checking to see if a player, or sorry, the local player was within range. Now I have a lot more defense items and crops than I do players, so I switched the radius check to be initiated at the player, and the player logic is doing that check instead of each individual crop or defense item. Um, I also added some visual arrows in a couple cases, so the placement of the defense items show you the direction that they're going to go. So the barrier has an arrow showing you which way it's pointing. The turret has a visual angle showing you where its vision and range is, which is really large right now, but that's fine. I didn't tweak anything. I just got it to work. There are some other bugs that popped up that came up when I realized that I need to fix things for multiplayer that I didn't finish fixing. So I think as of right now, the last player getting defeated doesn't reset the game. Basically, there's two scenarios of you progressing, for lack of, or not progressing, but finishing the level. One, all the players get defeated, or two, you collect all the number of items for that level. You're supposed to get the same UI pop-up for both, and the only thing is it'll hide or show a specific button. So you can either redo the level, or you can proceed to the next level and it'll regenerate and everything else. Now, speaking of proceeding between levels and retrying, there is zero reset capabilities right now. It sort of works, but this definitely wasn't play tested. The best solution as of version 4.1 is if you want to play again to close it and reopen it. That's because the fixing of the network stuff took more time than I really anticipated, so I didn't get to like resolve that as much. But it's functional enough for the demonstration, which is great. That's more than I can ask for. A residual issue about the turret, the defense items being placed and interacting with other items. There may still be a weird issue where depositing a fruit item with the gray mask equipped tries to spawn a defense item. It still does log the fruit being used, but it also additionally spawns an item. So the current workaround for that is that you can left to unequip the mask when you're not using it. I think that's a major thing. There were some things that I might have fixed during like play testing a little bit in between that I forgot to document. Um, but I think this is the core things that I worked on over like whatever few hours, Monday and like Tuesday, that I got to deal with it. So 1 or 2 days extra, or maybe collectively under 16 hours extra for this. So this is like a post-mortem of what the original game jam was, and then this is a tidy up for what was being portrayed. So um, I should be able to show you what I have. I'm not going to do the multiplayer stuff probably unless I change my mind during practice. Oh, that's right. So at least I got to look here. I did get the learning tablet stuff working. So now it's part of the spawn system. So you do get these blocks that you can pick up that will have a random letter or number. And the player that picks it up will learn that letter or number for the session. So I have the ability to complete a player collecting all the letters and numbers so they can actually see the full UI and interact with the chat system completely. So that's great too. I did add a couple more sprites for better visuals. So I tried to format things because it's very cryptic without English involved. So I want to make sure there is some visual behind it as well. Some of the UI elements weren't tied in properly, so like now they should work better. So we have a progress bar for our item collection. During the demo, I realized that I hard coded. Well, not hard coded, but I started the level at level 50 because that's one of the things I was testing. I was testing the procedural generation, and I forgot to modify it. So I'm going to change this to level 1. So if I happen to succeed through things at some point during this hopefully brief review, it'll work. All right, cool. So I think we're good there. Oh, additionally, aside from that, I did integrate lobby and relay system. So the way I'm doing lobbies at the moment is a quick fix because it's a very last minute addition. Like literally the last thing I worked on before doing it, I even built version 4.0 first and submitted that. And then in the last like hour of the day, I was like, hey, let's turn on the lobby and relay. Um, so that's working, and it's based on lobby code. So there's not a lobby list, but there's a very primitive UI, and it generates a code, and people can join, and it worked surprisingly well considering I didn't test it at all. Um, I was just using the utility here of the Unity 6's multiplayer play mode that's been really helpful with this. But anywho's, let me go ahead and play. If it happens to do the lobby stuff, I will test out that lobby, which it probably does because it should be the latest version, assuming it doesn't just go boom. Okay, so for some reason, it made my player 2 host. Oh, that's right. I switched the project to WebGL, and WebGL can't be a host, but my player 2 doesn't know that, so this is my workaround. So player 2, I guess it doesn't work around because I'm not getting a join code. Um, that's fine. There should be a join code here, and the UI looks a little bit different than what I published, so I gotta see what's up. But um, notice some of the UI, so we have that radial check, we have an arrow showing where when you're in proximity where you have to actually deliver the fruit, so I can pick that up, drop it off, and I have my little point. Now, I don't think I saved the scene, so I think it loaded level 50 again, so I'm gonna go back and stop running this. Um, I'm gonna pause the video here and I'm gonna switch it back to Windows. The WebGL build didn't work. There's some errors when you try to run it, but I gotta look into it. I think it's due to the networking. Okay, so it's switched now. I'm entering play mode. It switched over to my second player here, but that's fine. So create lobby. Then I have to type this out, I guess. Yeah, I can't copy this. So, we have start client. Yeah, the UI is messed up on this one, so I don't know what's going on with the replication here. But on the build version that I have, 4.1 on itch and the game, well, I guess just itch, there is an option to enter the code. I don't know why it's not showing up in the multi-view, so I can't demonstrate that, I guess. Unless... I'll run the build that I had before. So that might be a workaround. So this should be fully using lobby and relay services from Unity Game Services, which is a newer approach, and it's been pretty easy considering. So join lobby to get the code MWD99M. So it doesn't start until there's no UI for it, but I'm joined and it doesn't start until I start the game. Now, once in a while I've seen this hang up here, but I think there's a network issue sometimes that happens. It could be based in the editor, but I also had this happen in the build version of it. So I have to like stop it and then restart it. I will try to run the standalone version first. Also, for some reason there's some issue that's causing it to not respond. I'm planning to look into that after this little checkpoint. So create lobby and PFG B7T. Yeah, I think there's an issue. PFG B7T B7T. Let me see if that actually worked. No, my stuff's freezing. Yeah, I don't think I'm checking the network connections pretty well enough when I added it. So I'll just run single player and hope for the best, so I don't waste too much time on it. But it somehow did work during the demo a bit and afterwards a bit. Alright, create lobby. Cool. Start game. Cool. Loads in. The new world icon showing you where things are. So this is level 1. This is the learning cube. So if I right click it, I learn the letter or number 3. I think I have duplicate messages showing up or something. I have to see exactly what I did here. But I'm pretty sure I implemented this twice in the last hours of things. So I can see 1, 2, 3, and I can just see that I have 3 known. Cool. Let me go grab one of these. And then I can place, so I have a slightly different UI now. You can rotate things, you can switch. The turret has a huge range. I can undo my choice, or I can confirm the choice, and that will take a bigger chunk of energy. Great. I can unequip, not that it does anything. I do have to tweak how the masks work. I'm going to learn another letter or thing, so I learned T. Grab a fruit. Grab a mask. Go over here. Oh, that's interesting. That's a far reach. So I can water the crops. Looks like my spawn count is kind of low for the enemies. So I'm probably going to fail this because it's supposed to be spawning masks, but it may not have a high enough probability to be consistent. So I may just have to have every enemy kill spawn a mask. Alright, so let me go up here before I can't get to it. Yeah, I probably have to restart because I think I ran out of... Yeah. So I may have to restart because I ran out of masks available, and technically as one of the blocking conditions is we can kind of get into a stalemate, which isn't really fair to the user. Oh, I lost all masks. Alright, let me just restart this one. What I'll probably aim to do in this one is I'll demonstrate that grabbing masks will stack the energy. So grab this one. By the time I get over here, so it's ticking down slowly. I'll pick it up and I have full energy. I wasted a lot, but at least I have 4 energy now. So watering the plant updates this blue marker, so it decreases, and that speeds up generation, and it also is used to restore plants that haven't fully died yet. Again, no balancing, so it kind of doesn't work out. But uh, with this mask, I can harvest. So without the mask, I can't. With the mask, I can. So I harvest. I have that fruit. I'm gonna try to pick up the other fruit that's here, hopefully before enemies spawn. And it should stack, so we should see the number go up. Good. Okay, cool. So now I can go over here. I can't place it until I'm within a certain range. So the range has to be within the pickup radius, but a little bit closer until you see this arrow. And then we have however many this is. So this number, I guess, is like 2 or 3 or whatever. Leaving the game and restarting it doesn't fully reset things. So that's something else I would have to deal with. But it is somewhat playable. There is no end condition because of the timing of everything. You run out of energy and masks before you have the opportunity to do anything. And I can't attack this guy without having a gray mask because the red masks don't work. Oops, maybe I'll get lucky. I don't have enough energy, so even if I place something, I can't generate it. So you can place things ahead of time to plan out, and then you can go by when you have energy and like activate them. Once they're activated, you don't have to do anything except repair them. So he is being attacked, but since I ran out of energy for the mask, um, I can't show you the repair menu because you have to have the mask equipped in order to do these certain activities. Another thing, the enemy spawn meter doesn't reset until all the enemies are defeated. There's supposed to be a backup of like 60 seconds or something so that you can have multiple waves at the same time. But I think I messed something up here in a rush fixing a couple of things that it just stays like this. So you can really get into a full stalemate. I'm going to see if the enemy does defeat this player. I am getting hit. Oops. But it's not a lot of damage. So it does take its minute. And I have a lot of spam from debugging stuff before, so you can't really see it. Okay, cool. So one of the other things for this is that your player can die, or your character, and what it does is it'll spectate some random living player. The idea is when all living players are defeated, it should show you the menu. In this case, for some reason, it's not checking that. Since I'm the only person playing, I should have been presented with the I should have been presented with this screen. And then this would be to go to the next level, and the other one is to... I don't know why the other one is not showing. Oh, it's up here. So the red is for restarting the level, the green arrows for going to the next level. And these would hide or show based on the status, but it's not properly getting called in this latest revisions of things. I'm pretty sure it's a networking thing because this is a panel that would be triggered by some network action because the host has to relay to the clients that the session finished. But that's what's not there. So this should reload things. This should go to the next level. There's just currently 0 testing and then development for that because of time. But so those would be more priority. Also from the build version, the only way to exit is to like click the X button. There's no nice UI or anything. So yeah, but again, this is all for the Game Jam demo. I am considering continuing working on this and tidying it up. I don't know if I'm going to continue doing my own assets or if I'm going to use some assets I already have to make it look much more polished instead of like this stuff. But we'll see what I do. Maybe I'll do versions with my own assets and then later on add other assets. But I do like the style of the game. I think it's pretty similar-ish to like how Repo works. Similar concept in a way, just not really reskinned, slightly different mechanics there. And you have to really gauge gauge and think about more resources. The resources definitely need to be rebalanced. I have everything short timed for quick testing, so I don't have to wait like 5 minutes just to test a mask, for example. But yeah, oh, up here is also the enemy counter. I don't know if I added that in 4 or if I added that in 3. I think there's 3, so that might just be repetition. But it's more polished than it was and working more than I think version 3 was. I'm planning to keep some of those older versions on my itch page, so if you want, you can go back and see those versions. But when I continue with the networking stuff, I'm pretty sure you'll just need to make sure that you're running the latest version. So like 4.1 can only play with 4.1. I don't have any rules in the code to block that yet, but for now, if you're playing with it before I publish any fixes, just keep that in mind. 3.0 doesn't have viable multiplayer. Is only on the same machine if it works. 4.1 is where I added the relay stuff. I don't think I published a 4.0. I had a 4.0 ready in case I needed to, but 4.0 was still the same um, local only multiplayer. And then 4.1 is where I said, okay, I'm going to finally turn on and use relay and lobby. But yeah, hope you enjoy watching this progress. I look forward to, if I get to really work on this more, I look forward to engaging with you guys and seeing how it grows. So thanks for watching, and hopefully you enjoyed the game jam, and I hope you get to see everyone else's other amazing projects. So far, we just had one of two probably sessions, and the submissions have been great so far. So it's been a great time overall. I enjoyed doing this. I enjoyed watching the outcome, and I look forward to doing more of them. So thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out, and good luck. See you in future videos or class or just around campus.